Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode. Were you gonna do the introduction?
No, you do it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Racing Show here at RacePlazaMedia. My name is Pia.
And I am Milan.
Yes. And today we're going to talk about racing news that we've come across this week that we wanted to bring up to each other. Honestly, today we have no idea what the other person has prepared, so we're kind of going into it blind.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to find out, what have you come across this week in racing news? Do you want to start us off?
Yes. Okay. So I can start us off with, I saw that so Cadillac has their own like World Endurance Championship car, and they also are part of the IMSA. So there's apparently major changes coming up for their 2025 car because they're separating most likely from their partner company.
Ooh.
And so apparently there's huge upgrades coming to the car, which is really awesome because they already did quite well last year. I think they won the 12-hour Sebring last year. So there's major upgrades coming to that. And then I believe also next year we're going to get the first hypercar Aston Martin.
Ooh.
It's the Aston Martin Valkyrie. They've originally announced that they're going to introduce a hypercar back in 2021.
Okay.
But then things were pushed back. So I think it will be very exciting for this So next year.
Oh, so for 2025 already.
For 2025.
Nice.
So Cadillac is already part of it, right?
Yes, yeah.
But so Aston Martin will be joining the WEC. And then this year
But probably in the hypercar category, not because they're in the GT
they're
categories
in the regular,
already.
Sorry to clarify. So they're joining now the hypercar category, and then
Nice.
for Cadillac, apparently they're bringing major upgrades. They're only going to be running 2 cars now from here on out, so I don't know.
Okay.
So it seems like they're only going to run 2 cars, so I don't know if that means they're not going to do any other category besides hypercar. They didn't specify that, but I was like, oh, that's really interesting, and it's cool, especially because this year we have already, Alpine in there, BMW.
Yes.
So it's really cool that we're getting more manufacturers. Of course, I want to see the Porsche
Yes.
on the top step, but I think it's really awesome because it just makes it more competitive, because a lot of times you see the Porsche, Ferrari. So it'll be nice to change it up.
I agree. I'm all for nice, fun competition or more different manufacturers competing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's nice. That's great news.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'll kick it off with some other racing news then. So one of the things that I read, which had been announced previously last year, but the first race is coming up on April 27th. And so it's...
Sorry, for what?
That's what I'm getting into now.
Oh, okay.
I'm setting
I was like, what is the first race?
I was just setting up the scene. So there's something coming. And so apparently Abu Dhabi has founded their very own autonomous racing league. So the first race will happen April 27th. What are you thinking?
Wait, so there's no driver?
Correct.
Okay, I have my opinions already.
Okay, so let me give you some more information on it, and then you can tell me what you think. So it's going to be, the first race is going to be at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, which we all know the Yas Marina circuit. So many races happen there. So very familiar racetrack. So they're going to be using super formula cars. Okay. So from the Japanese single-seater league. So their top speed is, I think, 185. So those are going to be the vehicles with the new Dallara chassis, which people apparently, according to the article, are very excited about.
The Dallara chassis is also used.
Oh my God, I said chassis again.
I have this thing in my videos. I say always horsepowers.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's not powers. It's not powers. I don't know what. But the Dallara chassis is also used. I just did a video about this.
It's one of the formulas. The other formulas they use it as well. But so it looks very much like a Formula One car. Of course, it's like a single seater super formula.
IndyCar.
Okay, gotcha.
They use a Dallara.
Nice. I know one of the other formulas. I think it's Formula 2 maybe, or is it? I think it's Formula 2 that also uses the Dallara
maybe
chassis.
that's like their thing. Which is like similar shape all around.
Yeah. So it's a 4-cylinder engine that they're going to be using, and so the competition is or has been created. There's going to be led by, of course, developers, scientists, and coders are going to be integral to the teams, of course, behind it. So essentially, the teams are given the vehicle, from what I understand. Like they're all like one make competition, of course, and then they get like this basic program that the car runs with, and then they use that as the like an even starting ground, and then they build up code from it. So once the car starts the race, once the engine kicks off, hands off. So the car has to drive automatically. It's equipped with, of course, several cameras, lots of sensors and radars and stuff like that. So interesting.
Okay, so I know that in the Goodwood Racing Festival, where
I remember you watching it.
Where you guys can check that out on YouTube. It's very, very cool. They do this yearly, and essentially they do like a sprint shootout, and they had an autonomous car there too. And I will say, and so I think it's actually, this is kind of the thing where, like, of course, all the technology that is developed there then will translate eventually, I'm assuming, into consumer cars,
Yes,
right?
I'll get into that in a second as
However, I can already tell you, I don't like it. Because my thing is, I want to see humans race and the humans do their thing. And like, if there's nothing, like, no one racing, then it's like, I don't know. It's I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't want to be a hater, and I like the idea of using it because, like, of course, like Tesla, Mercedes, and all of stuff like that. They started implementing autopilots and stuff like that, and I get it. But I like to drive.
Yes.
I don't ever want someone else to drive on my behalf. You know. And if it is, it's a person.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I
and
hear that.
when it comes to racing, I want to see people race and not AI race. I will say I think it would be interesting to check it out because I could assume it might be really messy in the beginning.
That's what I'm kind of excited about, Loki, that it will be a little bit messy at first. So just seeing like the learning curve. And that would be the one thing that would potentially make it exciting, because usually the human factor is the exciting part. Or part of it,
of
at
course,
least.
because human error and stuff like that.
Exactly, but it's also like the personalities,
of course,
and stuff. So it also depends on how they build it up in the media. If maybe the teams are going to be like the representatives of it. But so the basic idea is also, of course, for the technology to help develop the technology. Not just, I mean, because it's going to be AI included in it, of course.
Of course, yeah.
So it's not just technology for like speeding or racing and stuff like that, but the idea is twofold. One, to improve safety technology for regular driving, and then also their idea apparently is to make people more comfortable with autonomous driving, so they can see it high speed on a motorsport where cars are overtaking one another all by themselves, so people can see it in action, so they might be more inclined to try it themselves. Not that they don't want to replace drivers fully in the real world even, but they want people to slowly become more comfortable with autonomous driving and stuff like that.
Yeah, so as I said, like, I understand what the reasoning is. I'm not a fan. I don't think, I mean, who knows, fast forward 40 years, throw this video in my face, right? but I'm not, like, I like driving, you know. I, even in LA where traffic sucks, you know, I prefer to be the one driving. Higher speeds, I think I'm like, human failure, obviously very common, everyone knows that, but like, I don't know, I just don't like it. Like, I understand the reasoning behind it and stuff like that. I just don't want it. I want people to be racing.
No, I agree. I agree.
I definitely tune in for a little bit, but just to check it out.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, overall, I just thought it was something interesting.
Very interesting.
I didn't know that that was, I mean, it makes sense that it's coming. It's happening a little sooner than I expected, especially on such a big level. Driving the Super Formula car on a Yas Marina track and stuff like that. So it definitely was a little bit of a surprise. And like you said, I would be curious to tune in, but at this moment, I'd be doubtful that it would be an immediate, like, crowd pleaser, have millions of followers, or it would be maybe millions of followers because they're curious, but not because they're, like, honestly excited for autonomous racing.
Yeah, I mean, in that Goodwood Racing, where I saw the autonomous sprint, a lot of people in the comments were like, I don't want to watch that. I want to watch a person doing this, you know?
And I mean, I get that there's still people behind it and
Yes.
people obviously putting in the code and scientists and all that stuff. So there's still lots of people working on it, but there's still that essential element of the
human
driver.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Missing. So yeah, but I thought I'd bring it up because it is
It's
racing
very
related.
interesting. Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to the next thing. This one I thought was quite interesting and quite relevant, and I think you might have this one too.
Oh,
but
interesting.
next. So Michael Mosiman will be joining this very weekend the 250 SX Yamaha Star Racing team for AMA Super.
Oh, wait.
Cross.
Who's joining?
Michael Mosiman.
Okay. I did
don't
not
know how to pronounce that, but he will be. So he is officially. He's the number 76 and has joined the team for the remainder of the 250 SX West Regional Championship. Sorry, is it this week the West Coast?
I think so. I think they're coming.
Okay.
Are they coming to Seattle this weekend?
Oh, we're gonna get Joe back and the boys.
I think
and
so.
Levi.
If I'm not mistaken.
Hell yeah, I missed the West Coast dude.
Yeah, no. I mean, because there are like OGs. I
There
feel like
are
'cause
OGs,
those were the
you
ones
know.
we were introduced to. Those were the ones we saw,
Mhm.
like live racing.
Yes.
So, is there a reason why he's joining now?
Sorry. So I believe I don't know if they're just adding him to it because I believe everyone who is dropping out of the championship due to injury is on the east side.
Yeah, so far it's been a lot of East Coast dropouts.
So yes, so we have Austin Faulkner out. Then the other gentleman who got hit by Hayden Deacon.
Cody Schock is out now.
Yeah, so those are all east.
Then I think
Coast
Dylan Ferrandis, I don't think is racing this weekend.
Yeah. Okay, so he's
450,
450,
yeah, but he's out this weekend because of illness. I don't think it's an injury, but he's just under the weather, I guess, or severely under the weather. Because I doubt he would miss a race if he felt capable of riding.
No, they're just throwing. Yeah, in Seattle. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
they're just throwing him in there.
Nice.
They think that he can be competitive and that he's fast. Of course, they know it's difficult because it's kind of mid-season.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
he's not really competing for the championship,
No,
I'd say.
But maybe get his feet.
But some
wet.
experience.
Yeah,
I'm sure
absolutely.
there's great experience to be gained from competing regardless.
But I was surprised because we had, maybe he's filling the spot for the Spanish driver that left.
Oh, yes.
I forgot.
Prado,
yeah. Prado. I don't know if he was Yamaha, and Monster Energy Yamaha. I don't know on top of my head.
I don't know either off the top of my head.
I'm very surprised how flexible that is. Like, we're just gonna add a racer to the lineup.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I saw that.
I think it's as long as it's not exceeding the overall numbers. I wouldn't see. I guess why not?
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
When I came across it, I was like, that is awesome. I'm
Yeah.
excited. We're big AMA Supercross fans here on the channel. So I'm very excited to see him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, today. Sorry. The video is coming out today.
Well,
For us,
when the
it's
video
Friday.
comes out today. So, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, really, really exciting.
Nice.
I'm surprised that you didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I missed that news.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
There you go. So now we know. So I have, I guess, two more things.
Yeah, I have like two smaller things also.
So I mean, one is the smaller thing, so I'll just bring that up first. So that's MotoGP related.
Okay, interesting.
Yes. So because I mean, when I look for, I mean, a lot of the news that comes across my desk or my phone really is F1 related.
Yes, I try to stay away from it too much.
Exactly.
Well.
So I mean, the last point that I'm going to bring up is F1 related.
Same.
But I did want to bring up something else besides the Autonomous Racing League, which has nothing to do with anything that we've been watching so far. So next one is MotoGP, because we watched our first race, of course, last weekend in Qatar. Which was really interesting. I'm excited to see more of the races. And so now I guess I'm a little familiar with some of the names. And then so one of the articles that I read was about Jorge Martin. So he had won the sprint race in Qatar, and then he had placed third on during the feature race or the main event, right? So he's highly competitive. Jorge, yes, one of the competitors, commentators likes to say. Jorge Martin. But what I was going to say is, so, obviously he did really well in Qatar this weekend. phones on silent, please.
It is technically it's on vibrate.
Oh yeah, well,
sorry.
So he did really well this past weekend, and then during the weekend we also found out that he was very successful the previous season, where he was competing for the championship title, but then I guess in the last race he had a crash, so he ended up losing it. So as I said, he's doing really well this season already. I mean, for the first race, he did mention in the post-race interview and the sprint race interview that there's still some issues with the car.
What is he on, a Ducati?
No. So that's what I figured out, which I didn't know. So please, guys, forgive me. I'm very new.
Yeah, we're both.
We're both very new to MotoGP. It's our first season. We watched our first race and sprint this weekend. But he's not on a manufacturer bike. So he's part of...
It's a Lego bike?
He's part of the Pramac team.
Okay.
And so they're essentially, from what I gathered in the article, is they're considered more of a junior MotoGP team. So
he's that competitive?
Yeah, that's what I was shocked about.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. That's kind of like ANSI for Supercross.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a good analogy. But basically,
That's what they pay me the top dollars around here.
Nothing.
Nothing.
So he's highly competitive in like a non-manufacturer bike, but there's talks now, and apparently there have been talks for a little bit now, but they're getting more concrete that this will be his last season with the junior team.
He's gonna go to a bigger team?
Because he needs to just take it to the next level. Yeah. But I was absolutely baffled when I found out that he's been so highly competitive with a quote-unquote junior team. So there's talks about if he's going to go to Ducati next year, if he's going to go to KTM or Urbula. So we will see, but I think it's so cool that he is able to be as competitive as he is.
I mean, I hope that this maybe brings that team more sponsors, more money. And then also, like, imagine what he could do on a high, like a senior bike.
Exactly,
let's just say that,
exactly. Because they were also saying, because he had also complained that there was a lot of vibration and a lot of shaking, especially in his
porpoising.
Like different, yeah.
I don't know.
So he was saying that he was having lots of issues even during the sprint race. He said like he was barely able to finish it. That's how difficult it was to ride it. So they were saying that he probably rode very conservatively during the main event race. That's why he wasn't quite as competitive, because they were nervous about the issues that he had voiced. They became better during the main event race, but they thought that he was driving more conservatively just to save the tire and be more cautious of the vibrating and whatnot. So
I think it makes sense, but also hoping now that they have like the data and stuff like that from a main race, they're able to like over the next couple of weeks able to like iron out the
but apparently they've had those issues also in the preseason testings. So they've been working on it, but they haven't quite figured out the solution yet.
Okay, that sucks.
But yeah, so I thought this was some very little news, because we obviously don't know yet exactly where he's going. But I thought as a new fan, it was so interesting how well he's doing, considering he's not on a manufacturer bike.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So the thing that I want to say before going into, I guess, like F1. So apparently the owner of Maclaren, which like there's, I guess, one guy that owns the majority of it, he's actually planning on selling. So I don't know. So apparently McLaren has been struggling with like financials. Also like before the pandemic, he kind of took over, I think. And then they've been struggling and stuff like that. So he had to put more and more money into it. And now apparently he's kind of like got his bankers together and they're like, you know, I'm done with it. So I don't know what that will mean to all of their like racing teams, because McLaren is not only Formula One.
No, they have racing all kinds of different racing.
Exactly. So I hope maybe like a bunch of people will come together. Maybe some like celebrities come together, like Alpine or something like that.
Literally what I was thinking, that there's going to be a bunch of celebrities joining together.
I don't know.
Potentially.
Is it Alpine? Did they only Alpine? I don't know. Did they only come together for the F1 team, or is it overall everything that they do?
I thought it was for everything, for racing in general, not just the F1 team, if I'm not mistaken. But correct us if we're wrong in the comments, or let us know. But I had thought it was for Alpine motorsport, essentially.
Yeah, I was very surprised to hear that McLaren is struggling so much financially.
Yeah.
I'm obviously not someone who's out there shopping for one, so I'm not the customer base and not something
Not
ever
at all.
thought about.
Yeah.
Um,
But also, to be fair, McLaren is not on the list of cars that I would purchase if I like have
the money?
once I not if once
mhm,
I
when,
have
yeah.
the money. McLaren is not necessarily on the top of my list.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm not around it.
Mhm.
Like, of course, like a Porsche or a Porsche
Mhm.
would be like one of my top.
Porsche, Ferrari.
Porsche, Ferrari, yeah, like
Mhm.
those would be my top choices. I don't know, is it maybe because
Yeah.
I don't know many McLarens. I've seen them,
Mhm.
but I'm like, oh, okay, it looks like a
Yeah, I guess, but also us growing up, we've always been surrounded more around German cars.
or European cars. Yeah.
I mean, McLaren technically.
Oh, that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, no.
Bad. Yeah, that's
It's okay.
little lapse there.
It's okay. They're not part of the EU anymore.
Oh,
Okay,
that
got
is
rid of them.
actually
Oh, they left. Okay, so
let's
it's a
move on.
tough subject for
Yeah.
everyone. But yeah, so we grew up in the city where like Porsche and Mercedes is from.
Literally built.
Literally
Yeah.
built. Like, so we're from Stuttgart. So that is the cars that we've always been surrounded
Yes.
with, right? We went to like the car shows or how does it called? The Messe?
Yeah, like a convention like a
And
car.
stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So it was always a lot of German cars, like Maybach,
Yeah.
Porsche, all that stuff, right? But yeah, so they were never on my radar. But also, like, once again, I'm not obviously one of their customers.
No.
So I didn't realize that. I hope obviously they're able to turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hopefully I'll get some investors. I doubt it would impact the F1 team because that is the team they've been doing in recent history so much better than they've done for a long time.
Yeah, they've been improving quite a bit, and I'm excited to watch them this season.
And I really hope it will pay off for Lando because Homeboy has put all his hope and faith and
know.
dreams into it.
Yes.
And I really hope it pays off for him.
I mean, he's the center of our bingo board because we want his maiden win to happen this season.
Yeah.
It's very wishful thinking.
yeah, honestly,
at this point.
honestly,
but
at the beginning of the season, I was like, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. Now I'm like, especially because both M teams, McLaren and
Yeah.
Mercedes, are struggling. Like,
yeah, that's